I have a lemon tree in my backyard. I was outside with Giger this morning, my dog, and watching him run around because I let him out every morning into my yard. And I'm looking at my lemon tree and I'm like, oh, they're back. The bees are back. And I'm terrified of bees, but I really want lemons. So I have to let them come into my backyard and pollinate my tree. And I'm just like, oh, but I'm so scared. I'm so scared of them. But I know, like, my husband's always like, they're not gonna bother you. Like, they just want, you know, to pollinate and get, you know, pollinate the blossoms and everything. And I'm like, I know, but I'm still terrified of them. So I've just seen way too many, like, Animal Planet documentary things where it's like a man went outside in his backyard to water his plants and suddenly he was covered with 4,000 angry killer bees that stung him to death. I watched too many of that as a child, and I was like, my morbid curiosity was like, oh my god, it's like, could that really happen? And I know it does. And there's this other documentary that I saw too where it's like the town of, no, I think it was like the town of Bisbee was beset on by thousands and thousands of bees. The angry bees swarmed the town and stung everybody. Not sure if the world is ready for more bees. I know, but we need bees. Bees are important. And it's like, I think they're really cute, but they're also horrifying because they have like stingers, you know, and everything. And it's like, obviously wasps are way worse because they can sting you like multiple times. But I'm still, every time I see a bee, I'm like, and like, all my friends, like my mom always made a joke, like, you are gonna hurt yourself more running away from the bee than the bee, like, you know, will like just like stinging you. And I'm like, I know, but I'm scared. It's just like, one of these days you're gonna run into traffic because a bee is like near you. And I'm like, I know. So it's like I try to be brave around bees, but I'm scared. I'm so scared. Bees are friendly things. Wasps, it's wasps that I'm scared of. I know. I'm scared of wasps too. I'm scared of it. Like, I feel defenseless when I'm around a flying insect that has a stinger. You know, it's like there's nothing I could do about it. It's like it could get to every inch of my body. And there's nothing I can do. Unhacked honeybees are an invasive species in the US. Oh, I didn't know that. That's very interesting. I know there's European honeybees, and then there's like the killer bees that were experimented on by scientists that were like, they took African bees and honeybees and like mixed them together, and then they got loose, and they're all over the place now. But most people like won't run into like any like, you know, killer bees or anything. I know. I'm freaking out over nothing. It's like one of the things that I'm like the most afraid of is bees.
And always early. World freedom. And always early.
The bees always twirl towards me. I'm like, why? Stay away from me. But yeah, I thought I had like a bee swarm moment. This was like last year when I was at the dog park with Giger and my mom. And I took him to the park. It was like mid-afternoon, kind of. It was like around like springtime. And I'm watching Giger run around with the other dogs. And I look out of the parking lot, and I was just like, wow, that is a lot of flies out there. It was like a big swarm of flies. And I listened to the sound. And I'm like, oh no, those are bees. I know the sound of a swarm of bees when I hear it. And I let out like a scream because I'm like, oh God, this moment has finally come. The bees are here. It's the thing I'm like, this is like a nightmare. So I grab my dog. I grab my, like the first thing I do is I grab him and I wrap him in my sweater because I don't want the bees to like sting him. So I've got Giger and I'm like, okay, I need to get to my mom. We got to get into the car and we got to get our keys and just get into the car as fast as we can. And so as soon as I grab Giger, the swarm like goes right through us. And it's just like, it's so terrifying. And my mom was right in the middle of the swarm, and she went to grab my purse that was on the bench. And luckily, luckily the bees were gentle. They were like actually like really lethargic, and they weren't interested in stinging. They weren't angry. So I'm like, thank God, because I can't tell a swarm of angry bees from a swarm of like gentle bees. Is like, how am I gonna know? That just looks like a swarm of bees. At least we don't have yellow jackets here. Those are absolutely deadly. Ugh. I know we definitely got wasps. I don't know what the difference between a wasp and a yellow jacket is. But yeah, my mom went to go grab my purse, so she was like right in the middle of the swarm. But luckily, like, we were fine. But there were people at the dock who were like, "Oh my God, swarm of bees!" But like, they were fine. They just went right through the crowd and just like went on up the hills that were behind us. Doesn't make me any less. Usually, when bees are swarming like that, they're looking for a new home. Yeah, that's exactly what they were doing. They were looking for a new home. I actually did some research. I was like, why did the bees sting us? And I was like, oh, because they were looking for a new home. I was like, thank God, because I didn't know if somebody's found a swarm of bees and threw a rock at it or something. Because there is a hiking trail nearby. So they aren't defensive like they would be if they were defending a nest. Doesn't make me any less terrified. Like, I know, I was horrified because it's like thousands of bees just coming right at me, and I'm in a we're at a dog park. It's all fenced in. There's nowhere to go. There's only one gate to get out. And I was like, oh God, it's like this is the worst position that I want to be in. But yeah, my mom went to grab my purse, and she was right in the middle of a swarm. And she's like, oh, I grabbed your purse. I was right in the middle of the swarm. It was really scary. And I was like, Mom, leave my purse. I just want to know that you're okay. I don't want you to get stung up by like thousands of bees. You're more important than like my credit cards, okay? It's never too late to ask the swarm if they're angry. It's like, excuse me, are you a nice swarm, or are you an angry swarm that's gonna sting us to death? But yeah, that is my bee adventure that I hope to never have again.